Brighten up your home for spring with a fun yarn wrapped wreath. Now this wreath is craft themed, and I'm going to share with you how to make all the flowers that are on the wreath, as well as how to wrap the wreath form with yarn. I'm using Bernat chunky yarn because it makes the wrapping go a lot faster. You can also do this with rope. It's way faster than using really thin regular yarn. So here I'm using some Aleene's Fast Grab tacky glue that's available from ilovetocreate.com, and I just applied a little bit of that to this Floracraft wreath form. It's a foam wreath, it's compressed foam. There's lots of different companies that make these wreath forms. So what you're going to do is keep wrapping. You can see I'm just using the whole ball of yarn there to keep wrapping, adding a little bit of glue as I go along, and then pressing the end down there between the layers with some glue. Next, I have 5 circles that I die cut from felt with a Sizzix die cut machine using the circle number 1 die, and I'm folding them in quarters and hot gluing them, and then using some clothespins to hold those closed while the glue dries. You could also use the tacky glue for that. Next, I'm rolling up the rickrack onto itself to create a little rose and hot gluing a piece of felt to the back to help hold all the pieces together. The rickrack I used is from a company called Simplicity. You can get that at most regular craft stores. Next, I glued all those little folded up circles to a piece of felt and use that to form the flower. And then I use a piece of chipboard to mount all of my individual pieces on before I put it on the wreath. This is going to help make it a lot more sturdy. And I'm using hot glue for this because those elements are pretty heavy. Next, I took a sewing pattern, also from Simplicity, and cut it up, and I'm going to run it through my Sizzix die cut machine with an Eileen Whole Flower Layers die. So this cuts out 3 different sizes of flowers, and I'm cutting through 4 or 5 layers of the pattern paper at a time. You can do the same thing with tissue paper. There's all kinds of really pretty pattern tissue papers too. So here I'm taking a piece of twine and threading it through all 3 layers of the flowers. Now I left those 5 or 6 layers stacked, so I have the 3 different sizes, and each one of those has 5 or 6 layers. So I'm threading all of them onto a piece of twine, then threading the twine through a button on the front, and then threading the twine back down through to the bottom. Then I tied it off in the back, and then you want to fluff all the layers and kind of crumple them so that it gives it some dimension. Next, I took some Swarovski crystals from primabead.com and added those to the middle of the button with some more of that Aleene's Fast Grab tacky glue. Now another way to do this is with wire and beads. So I threaded some Swarovski crystal beads onto about 6 inches of wire, twisted it so that the beads were in the middle of the wire at about the 3-inch mark, and then threaded all of my flower layers on through the wire, threaded the wire ends through all of my flower layers, fluffed it up, and then I put a button on the back, just kind of a regular basic ugly button, so that I could thread the wire through it and then wrap the wire around the button. And this kind of holds everything together nice and tight because the flowers are made out of paper, so they might tear. I glued those onto my wreath form with this fun little hedgehog cross stitch that I did. This is a kit that you can get at any craft store. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this inspires you to make your own yarn wrapped wreath and use some of your craft supplies you have hanging around, like patterns, felt, beads, and buttons. Hit that subscribe button here at the end. Also check out my Instagram, and you can subscribe to my crafty newsletter where I give lots of tips and tricks, as well as visit the blog. See you later. Bye.